Welcome back once again for my part 2 of my trip in Mexico City. Since Teotihuacan is only an hour and a half away from the city, either by tour or by driving, it's definitely worth checking out since this is a world famous UNESCO World Heritage Site with a pyramid complex and temples. Depending on which entrance you take, this is at least in entrance 1, this is the Templo de Quetzalcoatl, or the Temple of Quetzalcoatl. There's no translation for that one. But that one is the feathered serpent is one of the Aztec gods. Although this whole site predates the Aztecs by over 1,000 years. It was more recently discovered, really last century, because it was very heavily covered in vegetation, and also just by the soil. So it had a lot of excavation and a lot of cleaning up had to be done. But this was thought to be the administrative center of the Ciudadela, or the whole complex with the pyramids as well as the temple. Really, really pretty. Temple. Since this entrance is at the southern end of the complex, most tourists completely skip it, but it contains the only place in Teotihuacan that you can actually climb on top of, and has a small pyramid that you can do so in. The rest of the other pyramids in the complex you're not allowed to actually climb. If you do decide to climb it though, just do be careful with the stairs, they are very steep. From here you get to see all the statues. So there's still always ongoing archaeological work and excavations, even now. But even then, still, even though it's not finished, you still see a lot of really cool stuff. I love the statues right next to the stairs. The thing is, right now, since I got here really early, you won't see many tourists right now. You see a couple of groups and stuff, but that's all. Now heading over to the pyramid. So reading more about this place, this whole complex was started around 100 BC to about 250 AD. So yes, this predates the Aztecs by 1,000 years. But one of the cool things that I think, that because this was kind of a lost city, because so much was covered in vegetation, it was a good thing, because the Spanish certainly would have destroyed much of it, especially the priests, the Catholic priests, because a lot of this stuff would have been considered heresy, and just like what happened to Tenochtitlan would have happened here. But it was covered, it was protected, so that's why it was one of the reasons why it certainly survived, I think. Also, we are in the tropics, so I recommend make sure you cover yourself. So gotta cover that neck so I don't roast, and protect my face a little bit. Of course, the pyramids just tower over everything. And just like I was mentioning, since a lot of tourists completely skip the southern part of the complex, you will be missing out on many different areas of the city and temples and other common areas that you would have found in the city. Since this wasn't just a temple or pyramid complex, this was an entire city of around about 100,000 people at its peak. And as you're going through, make sure you stay within the platforms and be respectful of the culture, as locals are very proud of all these sites, and rightfully so. This is a really cool plaza. This one's called Plaza Oeste, or East Plaza. Jaguar and snake heads. There's one obvious difference between these pyramids and the pyramids in Egypt, is that this area has a lot of green vegetation, whereas Egypt is just all desert. One thing about this place too is that it's huge. I've been walking, it felt like we're just around this place, and I haven't even reached the first pyramid. But one thing to know is that it's not very wheelchair accessible. So for those of you who have family that are handicapped, it's going to be very difficult. This place was built over 2,000 years ago, so that infrastructure just was never in any type of planning. So that's partially why. But also, it's very difficult to build around it because it's kind of everywhere. So I think that has to do why. This one is absolutely magnificent. It is just huge. Still, honestly, the video just doesn't do it justice of how actually big it feels in real life. And a fun fact about these pyramids here in Mexico is that they actually are some of the largest in the world. They're bigger than the ones in Egypt. The one reason to that the ones in Egypt get more fame is that the Great Pyramid of Egypt is the tallest, and also they're much older. So that's one of the big reasons. But if you want to see just the biggest pyramids, and also has quite a few pyramids, about at least 30 here in Mexico, you have plenty to choose from if you check it out.
And while you're there, the price of admission usually includes a visit to the Museum of Teotihuacan, which is right there in the site and is next to the Pyramid of the Sun. Not only will it get you out of the sun for a little bit, but you'll get to see some exhibitions and find additional information on the city.
The feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl. This one's really cool, actually, apart from the other spot. This platform here is also a very Instagrammable WeChat, Tinder place to actually take a photo, because you get a really nice view of the Pyramid of the Sun with the actual steps. Because if you go on the other side, so you can walk up right to it, but the thing is, you won't really be able to tell, see the terraces as well as you do here, because of the stairs. They're more, they're more prominent. And the other side, they won't be. After checking out the Pyramid of the Sun, you can walk down the main street. I like how the road kind of leads you right into the Pyramid of the Moon. And back there is the Pyramid of the Sun. Too bad you can't climb the pyramid, but I can understand why they don't want people to. See, by now at this time, you're going to see a lot more tourists since it's closer to noon. Really pretty, although I would recommend probably checking out this one first before the Pyramid of the Sun, because this one is a lot smaller. So it almost is underwhelming. It's unfortunate because it's actually really cool though. And it doesn't take away from it, but it just, it's not the same after seeing the bigger one and the smaller one. There's something so unexpected. The dogs here chilling next to the monuments in the shade. This right here, if you're coming to Teotihuacan, is perhaps the Instagrammable, Facebook, spot for a picture, because you have a really good view of the Pyramid of the Sun. You have a perfect view of the Pyramid of the Moon, along with the main road that goes along, because it's actually in the shape of the Big Dipper, which is why the kind of pyramid is at the end of the road, and then this one is on the side, and then the Templo de Quetzalcoatl is on the other side as well. So. Well, that ended the main part of my tour here. I was here for about 3 hours. It's almost so sad that that I kind of saw everything that I needed to see. But if you really want to, you could probably not only just spend a day here, you could probably spend weeks here, just going through every single little corner and reading every part of the history of it. Unfortunately, I don't have that much time, but still, it's super worth it coming out here. Well, I would say this has to be one of the coolest places I've seen, and out of all the places I've traveled to, I would say almost right up there for me personally with the Gugong, which is imperial palace of the Forbidden City in Beijing. But because actually both are about just as old as one another. Well, actually, I think that one is older, but just the sheer size of this one, it was just really, really cool. Hard to describe the feeling.